My affair felt exciting until my son got sick, and I missed the call that changed everything. It wasn't supposed to be something serious, it was just for thrill, but now it's one of my biggest regrets. People have read it. Have you ever made a mistake like this? How do you deal with the consequences of it? I know I screwed up big time, and it kills me, but I don't know what else to do. My husband, age 45, and I, age 40, have been married for 7 years. We have a son, age 5. My husband and I met when one of our mutual friends set us up. We both were not looking for something serious at that point of time, and we're just having fun. However, we formed a connection and got together exclusively. We got married after dating for 2 years. My husband is a software engineer at Google. I work in the sales department of an insurance company. Our family life was going well. We had everything until I screwed it all up. It all started 5 months ago. My husband had gotten a promotion at work. He had to work extra hours after that. Whenever he came back home, he was always tired. We stopped getting intimate with each other. Every time I tried to initiate something, he would just shrug off, saying he's tired or some other excuse. His behavior was irritating me. To not be affected by his behavior, I started focusing on work. There was a client my company wanted to sign, and I was trying my level best to get him to sign with our company. My promotion depended on this client. His name is Jay, and he's 48 years old. Jay had some small fintech company, and if he got the corporate health insurance from our company, it would have been a huge deal for us. I was responsible for getting in contact with Jay and explaining to him everything he needed to know. My boss had told me that I should not leave any stone unturned and do everything required to get Jay's company with us. I understood his desperation. The insurance market was going really low at this point, and we needed all the clients we could to sustain us in the industry. My boss had also told me that instead of getting all professional, I should be friendly with Jay. That way we can earn his trust. He had told me I did what I was told and stopped being very professional and rigid with Jay. I tried to not get frustrated with my husband's behavior, but it was easier said than done. The same thing would happen again, over and again. I got so mad that I asked him straight up one day, "What's going on?" I asked if he's not attracted to me anymore, or if there's someone else. He told me it's nothing like that, and that I was getting mad over nothing. It's just the stress from work. He had said. I believed him and didn't initiate anything in the bedroom. After that, I started putting all my focus on work. Our son had gone for the summer camp, so I didn't feel like going home after work earlier whenever our son wasn't at home, and we would get time alone. It would be our time filled with passion and intimacy, and now it was just lonely. We didn't even talk. Forget about getting intimate. My meetings with Jay were going well. He was a funny dude, good looking too. There are a lot of formalities and procedures about corporate health insurance, so we used to meet to discuss all that over meals. I tried to maintain a balance between professional and friendly with him, but failed real bad at that. Whenever I was having lunch or coffee with Jay, he would say something which sounded like flirting, but it used to be like in a very subtle way. But then I used to shrug it off. I knew he was single, but I thought that he was just being friendly, and I was taking it in the wrong sense. One day, over lunch, I spilled a water on my top by mistake, and I noticed Jay's eyes lingering on my cleavage. I quickly started talking about work or something, and then he started looking at my face. I really enjoyed the way he looked at me. It made me feel so good. It was probably because I wasn't getting any attention from my husband at home. I knew it was wrong to enjoy other men's attention when I married, but my husband wasn't interested in me anymore. I was frustrated from all the times he had rejected my approach in bed. It had a bad impact on my self-esteem as well. Due to work, I had actually become sort of friends with Jay. He started taking me out for meals which were not related to work at all. I didn't mind it. I welcomed the distraction. In fact, my attraction to him couldn't be denied. I didn't mean for it to become anything. It was just a distraction from the awkward situation at home. My husband had started to spend most of his time in his office. By the time he was home, I used to be done with my dinner. He would have his dinner and then go to sleep. The home was merely like a hotel from him now, since I had stopped taking any initiative towards him. He had also not made any move, and from the way he acted, I knew he wasn't going to make any move in the near future. I know it was wrong, and I shouldn't have done that, but I couldn't control myself. When Jay took me out for lunch one day, I started rubbing my foot on his legs. The interest in his eyes was clear. I was tired of being neglected by my own husband. That night, I did what I shouldn't have done. I slept with Jay. I went to his home with him. The frustration of all the days made me do something I never had thought I would have done. I left for my home in the middle of the night while Jay was still sleeping. I didn't know what to say to him. As I got into my car, I saw I had 2 missed calls from my husband. I hoped to God that he had slept by the time I reached home. I didn't want to face him. When I reached home, I saw my husband was fast asleep. I felt a bit relieved and then went to take a shower. The next morning, when my husband asked me where I was last night, I just told him that I had some work meeting which ran late. He didn't even pay much attention to it and continued eating his toast. I felt guilty for lying to him, but his lack of interest in me was still bothering me. I had decided that I won't see Jay anymore. The contract with him was almost complete, so I won't have to face him much due to work, and I made a decision that it was just a one-night thing. I had a husband and a son. I couldn't be reckless like this with this decision. I went to the office and tried to block the whole world out. My husband's different behavior had affected me a lot, and he didn't even have a clue. I focused on my work for the whole week. I spent my evenings at my desk because I knew no one was waiting for me at home. Like earlier, my son was still at the summer camp and wouldn't be back for another month. I tried to talk to him during the week, but he was always so busy with his activities that he didn't even have time to talk to me properly. At least he was having fun. Jay didn't contact me after that night. I sort of expected it. Even though I had decided that it was a one-night thing, it still felt weird that he didn't try to even call me once I was leaving my office on Friday. When I saw Jay waiting for me outside my office, to say I was surprised to see him would be an understatement. He came up to me and hugged me. He told me that he missed me. I was both shocked and surprised. I told him that we cannot repeat what happened that night. It was a mistake. Jay looked hurt with my words. I tried to let him go, but he didn't let me. He told me that he didn't believe me and that it was not a mistake. You cannot deny the attraction between us, were his exact words. I'll be honest with you, all the moment he said this, my decision that it was only a night, one thing broke. I wanted to kiss him again. And so I did. He took me to his car in the parking lot and we got intimate with each other. I had never been intimate with anyone like this in a car. It was a new feeling and I loved it. I told him that I'll call him later and then went to my car and drove home. I went to shower straight away when my husband came home and went to sleep without even kissing me. Once I decided that I was going to see Jay again that night, I thought that maybe what I'm doing is selfish and wrong, but at least I didn't feel neglected with him. I knew that what I was doing was wrong, and I'll have to suffer the consequences eventually, but a small voice inside me said screw the consequence. And that's how my affair with Jay started. He knew that I had a husband and a child, and he was completely fine with it. I told him that we had to stay really low-key and couldn't be seen in public places together. Jay resonated that we used to hang out together earlier as well, so we can just hang out like colleagues and friends. I agreed to that. Everything was going well. I didn't have to hide much or think about lies because my husband didn't really care much to ask. He used to just mention that I was home late or he couldn't reach me, but whatever vague reply I gave him sufficed. He never made an effort to know more, even though it should be relieving that my husband wasn't suspicious. It felt bad as well. My husband wasn't suspicious, not because he trusted me, but because he didn't care to be bothered. I used to meet Jay in his home, or he would pick me after work if he was free. We used to meet for lunches and dinner as well. Sometimes we would get intimate in the car or in the elevator when there were no cameras. I had never thought that an affair with my client would be this thrilling, but it was. I had never thought I would get this feeling of adrenaline rush. I was so used to doing things in the bedroom that the thrill of getting intimate in public places and in cars felt too good to pass on. Being with Jay made me realize that I was missing out on a lot. I was finally finding the fun and thrill with Jay that I should have found with my husband, but beggars can't be choosers. So I took what I got and enjoyed it too. My son returned from a summer camp after 2 months. I had to adapt back according to his schedule as well. I got less time with Jay in the initial days, but then I tried to set things up in a way which would give us a lot of time together. There was no end goal of my affair with Jay. I didn't know how to navigate it. When I shared this with Jay, he calmed me down and told me that we don't have to think too far and that we can deal with one day at a time. It felt good to be assured like that. My husband had never assured me like that, mostly because he didn't have time from work. If I was honest, I couldn't blame everything on his promotion. Even without his promotion, he was always occupied with work. I was the one responsible for everything related to our home or our son when it was his responsibility as well. His promotion just pushed things to an end earlier. He would give me some time on the weekend or after dinner, but now that was over. It stopped bothering me after I started things with Jay. I was getting the attention in the bedroom and outside as well. Day by day, I was getting less and less affected by my husband's action. It was clear that my husband didn't really care about me. I just refused to see earlier. He had not once tried to get intimate with me, not that I wanted it now, but still it showed his lack of interest in me. I thought of getting separated from him for good, but I put the thoughts aside for our son. Even though my husband was a shitty husband, I know I was a shitty wife as well. He was a good father. He made sure that our son got everything he wanted, including his attention. It was a rare time where my husband would put the work aside. Every one of the times happened to be involved with our son. I couldn't separate my son from his father. I didn't want to be separated from my baby. Joint custody was out of the box because I didn't want my son to shift from one parent to another. I decided to stay in marriage because of my kid. My love for my husband started vanishing. Soon only my son mattered to me in that house. I was finally happy. After a long time, my work was going great. Things with Jay were going amazing as well. Things at home were the best they could be given the scenario. My husband continued to stay with his work. He would have not even noticed if I disappeared from his life. I used to spend my lunchtime with Jay so that I could head straight home after work to my son. Jay understood my situation and adjusted our meetings to whatever was convenient for me the best. He was so understanding about everything. It was insane. I thought everything was going according to what I had planned, but turned out that I was completely wrong. Everything had taken a quick and unexpected turn for the worst. One day, my phone fell down the stairs when I was leaving for lunch with Jay. I thought of getting it fixed later, as I couldn't wait for longer to meet Jay. Jay asked me to go to his home with him. It was a Friday, so I was able to easily ditch the rest of the workday. I went to his home with him. I went home around 6, which was the same time I usually went home after work. My son wasn't at home like he was supposed to be. Only Beth was there. Beth was the nanny we had hired to be there with him after he came back from school till me or my husband got home. Beth told me that my son had gotten a high fever in school and had to be rushed to the hospital. His teacher had called me many times but couldn't get through. My husband picked up the call and was there with him in the hospital. I rushed to the hospital. It was because of my stupid phone that my son was without me in that hospital. I saw my husband Sitting with our son while our son was sharing some story about his school, I rushed to my son's side immediately. He was feeling better then. My husband didn't ask me anything. Then soon the doctor joined us and told us that my son had caught some flu and was fine to go home now. I took our son in my car to home while my husband said that he needed to get to the office as he left his work in a hurry to get here. I went home and put our son to sleep. After feeding him, I made a mental note to get my phone fixed the next day itself. I went to sleep in my son's room that night. I got up in the middle of the night around 2 a.m. to find my husband standing by the door. He was staring at me. I got scared at first, but then realized it's just him and released a breath of relief. I saw that he was still in his work clothes and asked when he got home. He told me that he was just getting home and wanted to check on our son before going to sleep. I nodded to him. He then asked me where I was when the teacher had called. I told him that my phone broke down, and that's why they were not able to reach me. He gave me a look like he didn't believe me. I pointed to my phone that was kept on the nearby shelf. Its broken screen was visible. He then told me that he knew I wasn't in the office. I called your office, but they told me that you had left for lunch and didn't come back. He told me. I was not surprised that he had called my office. It was sort of obvious. But I was so caught up with my son that I didn't think what to tell him. I just blurted about going to a meeting which ran late. He didn't give me any expression to tell me if he believed me or not. I hoped that he believed it, and then went back to take care of my son. The next day, I didn't go to the office to stay at home with my son, but I needed to get my phone fixed. So I left for a little while Beth was there with my son. I got a new phone as my phone would have taken too much time to get fixed. The first person I contacted was Jay and told him everything. He was very understanding like always and said he was there for me. My husband didn't talk to me about anything after he asked me where I was. He just got ready and then left for the office in the morning. Everything went fine for the next few days. My son had gotten better and had started going to school again. I had also started going back to the office. I met Jay on my lunch breaks one Friday. When I got back home, my husband was already there waiting for me. I was shocked to see him home. I didn't remember the last time he had come back home before me. I smiled at him and then was going to take a shower when he stopped me. He asked me where I was during my lunch break. I gave him a blank look and wondered how I knew that I had gone somewhere. He told me that he came by my office because he needed my signature on some bank documents. I told him what I'd told him the previous time. He seemed like he believed me. He nodded and let me go before letting me go. He just whispered that he trusted me. The guilt those words brought to me cannot be described. I was having an affair behind his back, and this guy trusted me. I was so overwhelmed with guilt that I couldn't stop crying in the shower. He hasn't been a good husband to me, but I wasn't a good wife to him either. It felt so wrong to know that he trusted me when I was sleeping with someone else. I knew that I couldn't continue this. I had two options. Either I had to come clean with my husband and end things with him, or to end things with Jay. I knew I had to make a decision, and the thought of losing any of them brought more tears. Jay was a good person. He'd been so good to me, but there was no future for us. I couldn't just leave my son and my husband. I thought it was finally time to end this thing between me and Jay. I had made up my mind and decided that after the weekend was over, I would meet him again. It would be the last time I met him. Turned out that it was too late to make that decision. The next day was a Saturday, and I had plans of staying home with my son. I didn't know what my husband was up to that day. He never used to tell me anything after his promotion. He was mostly always working. Even on weekends, my husband didn't go to the office and instead stayed home with us. It was quite a surprise the day before that. Also, he was home before me. Something inside told me that something was wrong, but I shrugged it off, thinking it's just my guilt and fear of being caught. My husband sat with me in the living room. When our son had gone to the park with Beth, he told me that he needed to talk to me. His tone was so calm and neutral that I didn't think he knew about Jay and me. I was wrong about that. My husband knew. He told me calmly how he's aware of my affair. He said that he had his doubts when I started coming home late, but he got his confirmation after our son was hospitalized. He told me how he used to come by my office at lunchtime and watch me getting in the car with Jay. He showed me the pictures of me and Jay he had taken on his phone. I couldn't lie to him anymore. There wasn't any point anyway. He had pictures of me and Jay kissing each other. I was all over him in those pictures. I took the only option I had. I accepted it. He nodded and asked me how it all started. I told him how everything began. I told him that it all started after he got his promotion and started ignoring me. I told him everything I felt and how Jay made me feel wanted. He gave me a neutral expression throughout as I told him everything. I also told him how I was going to end everything on Monday. He didn't believe me. He laughed and told me that I didn't need to lie to him anymore. He was already aware of my dirty little secret. I told him that I was being honest with that, but he said that he cannot trust anything that came out of my mouth now. He told me that he was working really hard at work so that he could give us the life we wanted. He told me about his plans to take us on an international trip soon. I knew that I wasn't a good husband, but I never cheated on you, he told me harshly, and continued with, I wanted to provide everything to you and our son. I started crying after that. I couldn't hold my tears any longer. It didn't deter him from speaking what he had to say. He told me that he wanted to confront me the previous day itself, but he was giving me a chance to speak the truth by myself. That's why he had told me that he trusted me. He wanted to see my response. I had truly screwed up. He left me in the living room crying. He came back and gave me a glass of water. I was shocked at the gesture, and then saw the envelope he was holding. I knew what was inside that envelope. I knew it was divorce paper, but I wasn't ready for it. I got them ready after I saw you in the parking lot, he said to me. I wasn't ready to leave him like this, but he was ready, so I hesitantly took the envelope from his hands like I had thought it was divorce papers. I understood that it was my fault we were in that position, but it didn't make the pain any less. I read the papers only to find that he was asking for full custody of our son. I told him that he cannot do it. He told me it was for the good if our son stayed with him instead of me. I told him that I'm never going to sign it with those terms. He told me that it didn't matter what I wanted. He was going to make sure that he took my son with him. He said, "It's best if I just sign it without any drama, and he'll let me meet my son. Otherwise, he'll tell my son that I was cheating on his father, and he'll grow up to hate me." I couldn't believe my ears. I didn't know if he was being serious or not. How could he threaten me with something like that? Our son was 5 years old. Knowing something like that would break his heart. I knew that my husband would do anything to get what he wanted. It was possible that he would use my son like this. I had already hurt my son by having an affair, even if he didn't know that it was still wrong. On my part, one couldn't let him hate me. I tried to reason with my husband that there was no point in taking him away from me. My husband was already so busy with his work. It would be better if he stayed with me. I legit begged him to not do this. All my tears and begging fell on deaf ears. He stood by his decision and told me that I had 2 days to sign these papers. He also added how I would have to end everything with Jay immediately, or he'll show our son my pictures with Jay. I had no idea if he was being serious or not, but I couldn't risk my son getting traumatized by seeing his mother like that. I wanted a healthy future for him. I called up Jay after my husband left me in the living room and ended everything with him. Jay knew that my son was the most important to me, so he didn't argue or anything. He just told me to take care and to not hesitate to reach him if I needed something. He didn't know, but I was grateful for him. I called up my lawyer and told them about the custody terms in the
divorce papers. He said that
it was well within my rights to refuse to agree to those terms, and that I can fight for sole custody. I couldn't tell him that my husband was blackmailing me to tell my son about my secret. I ended the call with him shortly. I knew there was no way for me. I had to lose my son. Either way, either I refuse to sign this and he'll know about my secret and hate me forever, or I sign these papers and he will stay with his father. I chose the second option and sign the papers. I could stay far from my son, but I couldn't bear seeing hatred in his eyes. At least he'll have good memories to think about whenever he will remember me. My husband was satisfied with my signature on the paper and told me that he'll give me a week to explain to my son why I'm moving out of the house. He knew it was going to be so hard for me to tell my son that when I didn't even want to leave him. I was sure he was getting his revenge for making me suffer like this. I knew I had to suffer the consequences of my affair, but I never thought that I'd have to lose my son because of it. I didn't ask for a divorce earlier because of my son, and today I had to leave him. Telling my son that his mom is going away was the most heartbreaking thing I had to go through. He cried so much the first time I told him that. I started crying myself. Even thinking about that makes me want to cry with a lot of effort. I made him understand that Dad will take care of him and will keep meeting very soon. The pain in his eyes made me want to break down then and there. I pretended to be strong for my little guy. I spent the entire week with him trying to savor all the moments. When Friday came around and I dropped him off at school, I told him that I won't be home when he gets back from school. He started crying again, and I hugged him, telling him that I'll meet him very soon. My husband had seen me with my son throughout the week. I had some hope that seeing me so miserable will make him change his mind, but nothing. I had called the movers to move my luggage to my company's apartment. I could only get that in such short notice. While I was getting out of the home, my husband was there. He showed no emotions, neither did I expect him to. He had no emotions for me. He told me that he had filed for the divorce and that his lawyers will be in contact with me for everything after that. I nodded to that. I told him to take care of our son well and that I was sorry for everything. He told me that he'll take care of our son. He said I didn't need to worry about our son anymore. I didn't say anything after that and left the house. It has been more than a month since all this happened. The divorce process is still going on. Our divorce lawyers had told us that since it's uncontested divorce, it will be over soon. I have shifted to the accommodation provided by the company. I didn't have the energy to look for anything else. My ex-husband has allowed me to talk thrice to my son. I miss him so much. It hurts my heart. The only relief is that my son is being treated well. My husband has always been a good father. I knew he'll take care of my son well. My boy told me that his dad comes back home early after work and then plays with him. It was bittersweet to know that only if he had come home early for me, we wouldn't have been in this situation. Right now, I know I cannot fault him for my infidelity, but it hurts to know that he couldn't make these changes in his life. When I was there, I tried to focus on my work. Now, since I have nothing else to do, I never contacted Jay after that call in my home. He hasn't tried to contact me either. I'm grateful for that. I don't think I could continue anything after being away from my son like this. The regret of having an affair is too heavy on my heart. I wish I had never done anything. If I hadn't acted on impulse and didn't start my affair with Jay, I still would be living with my son, and maybe my husband would have started giving me some attention back after some time. I wish I had waited instead of cheating on him like this. Update. It has been 2 months since I left the house. Our divorce has been finalized by the court. When my lawyer asked if I wanted anything from my husband, I straight up refused. I didn't want any of his assets. All I wanted was my son. And since I couldn't have him, anything else didn't interest me a bit. My husband has already moved on. My son told me that he saw Beth, the nanny, coming out of Dad's room in the morning. I was shocked at that. Beth was in her early 30s. Was this easy for him to move on? I thought to myself. But then another thought came to me that I was no one to say this when I had an affair which ended our marriage. It still felt bad though. I told my son that maybe Beth forgot something and went to get it from Dad. Even though my ex-husband stooped low to use my son against me, I was not him. I wasn't going to play with my son's feelings to take revenge on his father. I was just happy that I could talk to my son whenever I wanted to. Beth used to call me when my son asked her to call Mom, and I was grateful for that. Maybe she felt guilty for sleeping with my ex-husband. I still appreciated her doing this. I even took my son on weekends with me. The little time I get to spend with him has become the highlight of my life. He makes sure to tell me every little detail, so I don't miss out on anything. The regret of starting the affair hasn't gone away. It hit especially hard when I had to drop my son back to his father's house too. The same house which used to be mine as well. Update. It has been a year since my last update. My son just turned 6 last month. He has adapted to the changes really well. He stopped crying for me 6 months after I had left the house. Now he just gives me a smile when I drop him off. It's a mixed feeling to see him smiling like that. It feels a bit better that I'm not the reason my son is crying, but it also hurts as I worry if he misses me or not. Also, my ex-husband has gotten engaged with Beth. They are set to marry within 6 months. Even though I was the one who cheated, it still hurts to see him with someone else. It really did hurt me seeing them together in the house I had built with him. I got to know about their engagement when I went to drop my son back to my ex-husband's place. He was kissing Beth in a very intimate way. I couldn't remember the last time he had kissed me like that. I coughed to indicate my presence while Beth got shy. After seeing me, my ex-husband acted rather pleased that I had seen that. My eyes then fell on the ring and Beth's ring finger. My ex then informed me that he and Beth had gotten engaged and planned on getting married soon. I managed to smile. The look on my ex's face told me that he enjoyed that. I felt hurt. He then kissed her again, and I knew he was taking revenge for me cheating on him. I left after kissing my son on the cheeks. I would like to thank everyone who didn't judge me and offered support and empathy. I don't know you all personally, but it meant a lot to me.